Hey viewers, welcome back to the channel. I got another Warhammer video for you, and this one is way long delayed. So this one I wanted to talk about the army that I took to the Dallas Open back in May of 2024. I should have done this earlier, but I got lazy. So I figured I'd talk about it. Just the summary, I went to the Dallas Open Grand Tournament in 2024 in May. It was a blast. It was a crazy time. An absolute crazy time. It's basically a 3-day tournament of 8 games. So 3 games on Friday, 3 games on Saturday, 2 games on Sunday. And that is a lot of, that's a lot of freaking Warhammer. 2,000 point match, you know, so you're talking, what they had 3 hours a game, right? So that's a lot of Warhammer. It was fun. I ended up going 2-6. So 1-2, lost 6. I figured I'd do horrible because I don't know what I'm doing, but I had fun doing it. So I figured I'd talk about the army I took and kind of maybe some basic strategy, right? So as you can see, I took my Ultramarines. I ran the Gladius task force detachment. And so because of that, I kind of went with one of the typical combos. So we'll start with this. So we took Chapter Master himself, Marneus Calgar, with his guards, right, along with the Apothecary Biologis, and leading a squad of 6 aggressors with the Boltstorm Gauntlets and the grenades. So with this combo, put the Fire Discipline enhancement on the Apothecary, and so then the gist of this is what you try to do is get yourself in Devastator Doctrine either initially by your detachment rule or with the stratagem, and then that combo with the Apothecary, you basically get lethal hits and sustain hits 1 on 5s. And then with the Boltstorm Gauntlets, you have basically, you know, a billion shots that you're throwing out there, and you point this thing at your oath target, so you get full rerolls to hit. And then all of those Boltstorm Gauntlet shots, as well as Calgar's bolter shots, they're all twin linked, so you get to reroll your wounds too. And then lethal, and then basically you fish. So you will reroll all of your hits that aren't 5s or 6s to try to proc those lethal and sustains. And it's all damage 1. And if you add up all the stratagems, if you're shooting your closest target with the aggressors, and you pop, I think it's Storm of Fire stratagem, you can get these things up to AP2. So I mean, you're essentially throwing out, you know, 40 to 60 AP2 damage 1 shots at whatever you're pointing at with full rerolls. It is very spicy. It is very good against things like Catans, where they have all the damage reduction, so you can just overwhelm them with volumes of fire. So it when it works insanely well, and it will pretty much delete anything you point at it. And especially if you can get these guys close enough to kick off a charge, right? Then you've got all of those power fists, and you don't get the sustains, but you do still get the lethals on 6s and lethals on 5s if you're in Devastator Doctrine. So very cool, very good threat. So that's what I took there. And typically I ran that in Deep Strike. I was able to put that squad in Deep Strike because in the next squad, we got Ventris right there. So taking Uriel Ventris, fourth company captain, and that's his claim to fame, is he gives 1 infantry squad in your army the ability to Deep Strike. So giving that big old blob Deep Strike is good for flexibility. The downside is that is a giant footprint. So actually being able to get that where you want it can be a challenge. So you may not want to do that. You may just want to start him on the board. With Calgar there, he does allow them to do all the things in terms of movement. So you can advance, shoot, charge, fall back without penalty, right? So that does help because those aggressors, they have a 5-inch move. So they are slow. But back to Ventris. So Ventris gives that. That's why you bring him along, and a good squad for him to go with are the company heroes there. So I took those guys. These guys are just a good damage soak, right? They're -1 to wound at any incoming fire. They have 4 wounds apiece, right? So they are pretty good, and damage dealing, they're okay, right? You get them in the melee, the champion plus Ventris, they can do some damage. if the dice are on your side, that heavy bolter can really pump out some fire against some soft targets, because it's like a damage 3 bolter. So it can be good at the right target, but it's a good squad to have to attach Ventris to. What else? So kind of the staples, we'll go here next. Squad of 5 infiltrators, right? Just to hold the home objective and screen out deep strike in the deployment zone. Because the infiltrators, right, they have a 12-inch no deep strike bubble. So you deploy them right, you can screen out a good chunk of your deployment zone from anybody deep striking on your back lines. So that's good. What next? We will go with some of the stuff I put in deep strike. Well, next we'll do it right here. Combi-weapon lieutenant. This guy's just fun, just as a free, single model unit that can run around the board and be sneaky and handle secondaries and be a nuisance for screening and whatever else. I ran him, so he was a good time and pretty effective if I could keep him alive. We'll go with, so the other things I had in deep strike that as kind of just a, to bring in later turns to kind of flex on secondaries and whatnot. I had 2 squads of Inceptors, 2 3-man squads of Inceptors, one with plasma and one with bolters. Either weapon option's kind of viable, so I figured I'd just do one of each just to have the flexibility if I needed it. Overall, they did good. Sometimes they really put in some work. I had one match against the Maldari where the plasma Inceptors absolutely just destroyed. Absolutely destroyed. And other games where I drop them in, I try to get them to do something, and they just get nuked. So you never know. But the fact that they can drop in with a 3-inch deep strike gives them a lot of flexibility if they need to put them where you need them to score secondaries, or if you want to play cleanup on a unit or something like that. So they worked well. A little more expensive now, so I don't know if they're still worth it, but at the time they were good. Other deep strike unit, squad of 5 jump pack intercessors. These guys worked well for the same kind of reason, just a little cheaper, a little more mobility for doing secondaries, and a good melee threat if you can get them into combat against a weaker infantry unit. They will, all those chainsword attacks, they will slice and dice pretty good. Last bit of troops, I got a squad of 10 hellblasters. So those guys are obviously fun, being able to shoot on death and that kind of stuff. And no leader, just 10 of them. And they are carried in a drop pod. So I went ahead and ran a drop pod. This thing is fun. I don't know if it's really good in the meta, but it's fun, and when it works, because if you get first turn, these things can deep strike first turn, and you can drop this on an objective, on one of the midfield objectives, and the drop pod has OC1, which means it can do secondaries. So you can cleanse objectives, you can do stuff like that. So it's a good nuisance item that your enemy has to deal with when it works, unless they're really good and screen you out, which has happened quite a bit. So still a fun unit to play with. I equipped it with the Deathwind launcher, so it's basically 12-inch strength 5 grenades, essentially. I like that a little better, just to have a little, versus the bolter, just to have that strength 5. A little more versatile, I thought. So that's that. Now we'll go to the armor, the heavies. So see here, I took 2 dreads and a tank. So we got the Redemptor dread with plasma, grenades, and the little Gatling cannon. I chose grenades on this guy because I figured he's going to want to get up close with the charge to hit with that fist, and so therefore I went with the grenades to sacrifice the range. And he worked out pretty well. Again, they can be a little squishy just because of everything, but because of no invul and whatnot, but he worked out well. The next one is the Ballistus here. So really good points for value, right? The Ballistus Dread. So long range las guns and crack missiles work really well. And of course, he had the bolters as well. That's his only loadout. So he worked well. And then lastly, we had a Gladiator Lancer with the magnet. There we go. Gladiator Lancer. And since he's more long range, I put the Storm bolters on his side sponsons there instead of the grenades. Just because he's gonna want to be a little more range. And that worked out well, right? That las cannon really works when it hits well, and the Lancer itself is good because it's got built-in rerolls where you can reroll 1 hit, 1 wound, and 1 damage when it shoots. And so that is really good for either shooting at something that isn't your oath target or just making sure that those las guns hit and delete the other enemy armor. So that's the list. That's what I took. I enjoyed playing it. It was fun to play. Certainly not the most, ideal, meta list for Ultramarines, but I enjoyed it. So that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching and supporting the channel. If you like what I do, please consider like, sharing, subscribing. It helps out the channel very much. Check out all the links in the show notes for all the products I use for painting and all that kind of stuff. It's all Amazon links, Amazon affiliate links. When you click on those links and do your shopping on Amazon, it costs you nothing extra, but the channel does get a kickback of whatever you buy from Amazon directly, and it really helps us out. So again, thank you all for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.